Hey, what's going on, True Blazer fans? It's Tori. I'm going to be doing my 30-game player review. Now, I've already done a 10-game review and a 20-game review. Basically, I'll be reviewing the past, most recent 10 games from each Blazer on the entire team, and then comparing that to where they are in terms of their individual production for the season as a whole. If you want to watch my 20-game player review, that could be a good reference point. Maybe compare what I was saying about those players back then to what I'm saying about them now, because my attitude on a few of them have changed. In that 20-game player review, I was talking about how Damian Lillard was in a slump. How he played great during the first 10 games, but then the next 10 games he was struggling. Well, games 21 through 30, he's been amazing again, and playing at an MVP level. He's gotten his field goal percentage back up to 45%, his three-point percentage is above 39%, and I believe during that 20-game review, it had fallen to something like 34%. He's shooting with a crazy amount of efficiency right now, the type of efficiency that you just wish he could shoot for an entire season. Now, I couldn't find stats for the past 10 games anywhere on the internet, but I can use splits from December. They've played 8 games so far in December, so that'll be close to a 10-game sample size. Damian Lillard during December is shooting 47% from the field and 47% from 3, which is good for over 29 points per game and 6 assists. Compare that to the 15 games before that in November, where he shot only 41% from the field and 36% from 3, and that's a huge improvement. Damian Lillard is playing great. Honestly, right now, he's probably the player of the month in the Western Conference. CJ McCollum has had a weird month of December. He's played 7 games, and he's shooting 49% from the field, but only 33% from 3. I don't know why CJ is struggling so much from the 3-point line, but from 2-point range, he's doing a solid job. He's shooting a career-high 52.6% from 2-point range. That's up 6 percentage points from last year, so if he could only figure out why he's struggling from 3, he's only shooting 36% from the season. If he could fix that, he would be having his best and most efficient season to date. He's getting 22 points per game. His assists are still down at 2.6, which is terrible for a guard of any kind. But if he can just figure out that 3-point percentage, then CJ will be fine. Jusuf Nurkic has had a very bad month of December. He's only shooting 41% from the field. After having a true shooting percentage of 56% in October and 58% in November, it's down to under 48% in December. He's been struggling to finish. He's been reverting back to some more finesse type of shots. Hasn't been going up as strong as he was during the first couple months of the season. Hopefully Jusuf Nurkic can fix that, because his struggles have been part of the reason why we were losing a lot of games recently. He did have a good game last night, and hopefully he can build on that. Aminu has had a very solid stretch recently. His 2-point percentage is a career-high 55% right now. His next closest percentage was just under 50%, so that's a huge increase. He's finishing a lot better, and his handle has gotten much, much better. His 3-point percentage is at 36%, and those combined means he has a 59% true shooting percentage, which is by far a career high. His next closest was 53%. This is Aminu's best season to date from the offensive end. Defensively, he's kind of struggling. He has a 0.4 defensive box plus minus, which is his worst since his rookie year. He does get a lot of hard matchups, and he's still a good defender. Defensive box plus minus is iffy, but in terms of his December stats, he's getting 12 points per game, 58% from the field, and 48% from 3. Chief is playing amazing right now. Harkless has found his way back into being a regular starter, and he struggled during his first few games, which was to be expected. He was knocking off rust after not playing all summer, and it seems like he's picked it back up in December. He's played 7 games, 180 minutes, and he's shooting 56% from the field and 50% from 3. In 7 games in December, Evan Turner is shooting 48% from the field and 0% from 3. He has a true shooting percentage of 52.5%, which is below average. He's still distributing the ball. 4 assists per game in 24 minutes is a very solid number, 8 points per game. So Evan Turner, while he's not playing necessarily good, he's playing solid given that it's Evan Turner. Seth Curry, on the other hand, still has had some abnormal percentages. He's shooting much, much better from 3-point land than from 2-point land. During December from 3, he's 7 for 13. From 2, he's 3 for 13. Basically, layups are like long threes, and threes are like layups for him right now. He's shooting a great 3-point percentage on the season, 47%. That's better than I would have expected. That's an elite percentage. If only we could figure out how to get him going from inside the arc, get him finishing better, get him hitting mid-range shots. Then he would be exactly what we needed off the bench, and he'd be an upgrade over Connaughton and Shabazz Napier. I still have hope for Seth Curry. I think he can figure it out. Nick Stauskas. His whole season has been downhill, starting from that first game, which was his best game of the season. For a 3-point specialist, he's a pretty bad 3-point shooter. On the season, he's only shooting 35.5% from 3, and that's what I was worried about because he only had one season where he shot over 36%. People talked about this guy like he was a pure shooter. He's not. And while he can make plays off the dribble, he can set up teammates here and there, he's not great at it. In 17 minutes a game, he's only getting barely over an assist. He has 10 assists and 9 turnovers in December, so that's not a great assist-to-turnover ratio at all. Defensively, he's horrible. So Nick Stauskas, he hasn't been good during December, and honestly, that's probably a position that we need to upgrade, or he needs to find his way out of the rotation. At this point, I would probably play Jake Layman over Nick Stauskas. Speaking of Jake Layman, he doesn't play anymore. He had one terrific game against the Phoenix Suns, so he found some minutes the next game, then he shot poorly, and then he was out of the rotation. That is the definition of being Noah Vonleh. A short leash where you can play great one game, and then if you don't play good the next, you're out of the rotation. And that's frustrating, because you got a guy like Nick Stauskas, who is rarely having good games right now, and he's playing over him. There's no point to even talk about Jake Layman's December stats because he's only played 4 games in 60 minutes. Zach Collins is still having a quietly good season. I hear a lot of Blazer fans saying that he's struggling right now or that he's a frustrating player to watch, but he's shooting 59% from 2-point land, which is a great percentage, and he's shooting a little over 33% from 3. While that's not necessarily good, like I said in my last video, that's solid enough that you gotta keep giving him those shots and hope that he continues to develop into a good 3-point shooter. Zach Collins has also been fouling a lot less in December. In December, he's played 50% of the minutes he did in November, and he's only been fouling 30% as much. And while he's been struggling from 3, only 22% for the month, he's shooting 50% from the field, so he's still shooting good from 2. His free throws have also been phenomenal this year. He's shooting 88% from the free throw line, and that is absolutely terrific for a big man. It's reflected in his true shooting percentage for the season, which is an elite 61%. If he could just figure out how to knock down 36-37% of his threes, he'd be top 5 in efficiency for a big man in the NBA. And last but not least, we have Meyers Leonard. Everybody else hasn't really played, so they're not worth talking about. Meyers has struggled in December. In 8 games and 87 minutes, he's shooting 41% from the field and an abysmal 12.5% from the 3-point line. Now, he's being a lot more aggressive from the 3-point line in December, and I think that's why his percentage has cratered. He's shooting more contested threes. He was quoted as saying that he wishes he would not hesitate, but it hasn't been a good result. A lot of times I wish Meyers Leonard would just not even be put in the game and put Jake Layman at that small ball 4. Let Zach Collins be the rim protector instead of chasing around stretch 4s, and basically just let Zach Collins play center, which is his more natural position. So anyway, that wraps up this 30-game player review. Let me know what you think about certain players on the team down in the comment section below. So anyway, that's all I got for now, true Blazer fans. Peace out. Go Blazers.